live on Facebook, live on Instagram. We are good to go. So we just got done packing majority of our stuff for our little mini vacation. And I figured I'd come on here and talk about this. I have a lot of times people will say, well, what if God doesn't answer me? I've been praying, God's not giving me an answer. And it's about multiple different things, so not just one thing. But I wanted to kind of enlighten a little bit on that. I can't see comments, y'all. Y'all know I'm blind. If you're hopping on, drop me where you're from in the comments. I promise I will come back and engage with you and say hi to you when the live is done, because I do love talking to you guys. I just cannot see far enough to be like, hi, so-and-so and so-and-so, because that's just what it is. But I wanted to come on and talk a little bit before we, finish packing and roll out here. Hi, about what does God answering you actually look like? Because I can tell you, sometimes God answers and he says flat out no. He'll shut a door in your face. We've had it happen more than one time. Sometimes God answers and said yes, and he drops whatever it is you're asking out of the sky. But majority of time, God's answer comes in the form of you doing some work that he's going to bless. And I'm saying this from experience. I don't know that this is like biblical theology. I don't know if this is the norm all across the board. I know for me and my family, it's the norm. I know for hundreds of people that I talk to on a weekly basis, they will tell me this is the norm. So hear me out, because I actually was inspired to talk about this from doing my own devotions in the book of Moses. I almost said the book of Mormon. That is not what I meant to say. The book of Moses. Just kidding, the book of Exodus, the story of Moses, where God is literally in Exodus 14, chapter 15, I believe, or maybe 15, 14. He tells Moses, he's like, hey, why are you sitting here talking to me? Go talk to the Israelites. Because Moses is crying out to God and he's praying. But in order for God to answer him, he needed to go talk to the Israelites so God could work through him and do what needed to be done. And sometimes that's the same thing with us. We're asking for something and God's like, already given you the answer. You just have to go do the work so I can bless it. And so I'm going to give you a few very real life examples. The first one I'll just give you myself. The first one that this is the first time that it hit hard in my life, is I remember when my husband and I were fairly newly married. We had just had Glory. And I just wanted a way to be able to stay home. I wanted God to give us enough money that I could stay home and not have to go to work. And I would pray. And a friend of mine was making money on Facebook, and she was telling me about it. I was like, no, I'm not interested. God, please help me find a way to work from home and make some money. A couple days later, she'd be in my inbox talking about, dude, I'm not interested. God, please help me find a way to... 2 years, guys. 2 years. I prayed, God answered, and I shut the door in his face. Luckily, he did not give up on me, because that was 6 years ago, and here I am making a full-time income on social media. But... and again, that may not be your story, that may not relate to you at all, but that is something that relates to me, so I'm telling you how it played out. Maybe you're praying and asking God for a better marriage. And God's like, hey, there's this really cool marriage seminar, you should go to it. And you're like, oh, no, I don't want to go to that. That's money, that's time. God, please bless my marriage. He's okay, there's all these books that you can read, free, online. Oh, I don't like reading. I hate reading. I don't have time for that. God, please bless my marriage. The answer is there, guys. You have to put the work in so he can then bless that work and in turn bless your marriage. Same thing with kids. I can remember having a real hard time with my daughter. She has the same attitude that I do. Asking God to give me the wisdom to know how to discipline her correctly so she could go on and do something great for him. And I remember having all these parent books kind of pop up in my news feed randomly, or friends would be like, hey, I'm reading this. I don't have time to read. I'm running a business. I'm developing a product. I do homeschool coaching. I homeschool my own kid. I help run a ministry. I do not have time to sit and read a book. God, please help me, give me the knowledge and the wisdom to know how to parent my daughter the correct way. Book. No, I don't want those. God, please bless my child rearing. And it was it had to hit me like a brick in the face. I needed to go read the books and ask God to show me what he needed me to get from those books to turn around and be a better parent. Now, I'll use weight loss as another one. How many, you don't got to drop a 1 because I wouldn't admit to this. How many of us have been like, God, please help me to lose weight? And 5 seconds later, we're in the McDonald's drive-thru. Y'all, it doesn't work like that. You're asking God to bless things that you should be doing. And I honestly think sometimes we pray and God kind of laughs at us. And again, I don't know if that's like biblical or not. Take it for what it is. I picture God sitting up there looking down like, this fool is asking me to have her lose weight so she can get in a swimsuit this summer and feel confident. And she's eating a cheeseburger. Like, Lord, does she not even know? I honestly picture that. I don't know if that's how it goes or not. But all that to say, sometimes we are looking at it thinking, God's not answering me. He's just not answering me. And God's like, the answer's right in front of your face, but you are too stubborn or too lazy or both, I don't know, to actually walk through the door and take the answer that I've given you. Now, I know that might seem harsh. I'm normally not that harsh on these, but I honestly believe 99% of the time we pray for something. And now, again, God may just say flat out no. I know that does happen, and in your heart, you know when it happens. But 99% of the time that we don't think he's answering, I think he's answering just in a way that we're not looking for or that we don't want, right? Sometimes we don't want it. I don't want to go to the gym to lose weight, but God's like, you live in America. You have a gym 5 minutes from your house. You're telling me you can't find 45 minutes to go work out? And then, yes, when I work out, I absolutely ask God to bless that workout. I absolutely ask him to help me get up and want to go to the gym. I absolutely ask him to help me find the healthy food on sale that I want to eat. I absolutely ask him to help me find healthy recipes that my kid actually likes. I'm not saying you don't pray. I'm saying being willing to put the work in when God answers your prayer in a form that you're not necessarily looking for. Because I can tell you, guys, I went to a Bible college. We were not allowed to get any outside funding. I had to pay for everything myself. I was 16 when I started college. And I come from a family that was not able to support me financially whatsoever. I can tell you, I worked my butt off to pay my school bill. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a praying person back then. I dabbled in it a little bit. I was never really taught how to pray, which reminds me, guys, if you don't know how to pray, shoot me a message. I have a freebie I will gladly send you called the 5-Finger Prayer System. It's how I taught my kid how to pray. It's how I've taught dozens of women on Facebook how to pray. If you want it, it's free to yours. There's no catch, no nothing. Message me. I will gladly send it to you. Prayer works. I can tell you that from experience, but I was not a prayer in college. But looking back, many times I went and I showed up to work and God blessed it, and that's how I got the extra money to pay my school bill. Because I was making $7.15 or $7.25 an hour, majority of my college, and I was paying $12,000 a year. You do the math. The math ain't mathin'. But I got lots of bonuses because I showed up. I got overtime certain times when other people, it wasn't allowed, because I showed up and I worked. I remember meeting sales quotas and getting extra bonuses on my check that I wasn't even expecting, and this was from a pretty crappy job. Nobody wanted to work there. I won't name it because we still live in the area and it's not that far from my house, but it was a call center. Nobody wanted to work there. But I know God blessed my work. But had I sat in my dorm room, refused to go to work because I didn't like the job, prayed for God to pay my school bill, there's a 99.9% chance I probably would not be a graduate today. I probably would have been withdrawn from college and not had a job. And you know what? They actually used a similar illustration in chapel several times. I remember them saying, if you do not have a job and you are in your dorm room and you're praying for God to give you a job for 8 hours a day, but you don't ever go fill out an application, shame on you. Because you've got to put the work in and ask God to bless that work. Now, I do know there are random stories. I know personally a kid who got a $5,000 check in the mail. Someone in his church just decided to donate, and it paid off 2.5 months of his school bill. That's awesome. In my 32 years alive, I know that story to one person. I'm not saying it never happens. I know God can work miracles. He can absolutely drop money out of the sky. But usually, that's not the case. Usually, he answers in the form of you doing a little bit of work. And while we're on the thing of a $5,000 bonus, again, I have my own personal story with that. In September, there was a bonus announced that we could earn completely on our own work. We had to hustle and bust butt and could earn a $5,000 bonus. Now, I had lots of friends who were like, oh no, that's too much work. And they just counted themselves out automatically. I had other friends who were like, I'm going to pray for this bonus. And they got salty when they didn't get it. But they weren't showing up. They weren't consistent. And most of them aren't even in the business anymore. I showed up. Now, I didn't show up any extra because I purposely have a certain amount of hours I work in my business. I have a family, I homeschool, I run a ministry. I don't have 6-7 hours a day to be sitting on Facebook. It's not my life. However, I specifically prayed. I said, God, please bless the work that I'm doing. Help me maximize the time that I actually have. And guess what? I earned the bonus, got paid out in December, and we got to take my daughter to Disney. And Disney is something I specifically have been praying for because I know she wanted to go. I know the way that we structure our money and the way that we budget, we were not just pulling money out of any random place to take her, but this was $5,000 extra dollars. So sure, we will take her to Disney. And that might not be your story. You might have an abundance of money and that's not what you're praying for. Maybe you're praying for weight loss. Again, are you showing up in a way that God can bless what you're doing to give you the answer that you're looking for? Or are you wanting to be able to eat ice cream 5 days a week and have him whittle away at your waist so that way he can do all the work and you can sit back on your couch and watch TV while you're eating sweets? Again, extreme, I know, but how many of us pray for things that we could control part of the outcome and then have God bless the rest for amazing results that I love. I love being able to tell my story of things like, hey, I worked 3 hours a day and made a $5,000 bonus, because that isn't me. That 100% was God showing up and blessing my work. But I don't think he would have showed up and blessed my work had I not worked at all for those 3 months and just sat back on my couch and watched Netflix. I love being able to get on here and say, hey, in less than 5 months, I lost 30 pounds by drinking coffee. We have a special fat burning coffee that I love to use. Lost 30 pounds. But I actually had to drink it every day. I actually had to drink the water required that goes with it. I actually had to make sure I didn't eat within 2 hours before or after so it could work. Now, if I would have drank the coffee along with my, again, I'm hating on McDonald's, guys. I don't hate on McDonald's. Everything in moderation. But if I'm sitting there eating the coffee with my, 3 McDonald's sausage biscuits and asking God to help, help it burn fat, probably not gonna work. So, I just want to leave you with this. When God is not answering you, ask yourself, did he answer in the form of a no? Sometimes he does. He knows what's best for us. We do not. Sometimes he answers in a no. Now, if he answers in a yes and drops a check in your lap or whatever, you'll know that. Like, obviously you're not praying for that thing anymore. Third thing is think outside of the box and look around. Did he answer you in the form of a resource that you need to go work? That way he can bless your efforts in whatever capacity that you're needing the answer. More often than not, that's going to be the avenue you need to go to. So, I hope this helped, and I will see you all in my next video.